Did you know that the ancient Egyptians built the pyramids in a zigzag pattern? Just kidding, they didn't. But wouldn't that be wacky? I mean, imagine if they had, we'd have more of a giant ancient roller coaster than a tomb for pharaohs. Now the pyramids, those colossal triangles that have been standing tall for over 4,000 years, are a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. And no, contrary to popular belief, they weren't built by extraterrestrial beings with an obsession for geometry. But let's dive into the real facts, shall we? Picture this. It's the year 2500 BC, give or take a few decades. The pharaohs just ordered a new pyramid, and it's not going to build itself. So, who's up for the job? Slaves? Nope, not them. In fact, it's a common misconception that slaves built the pyramids. The truth is far less Hollywood and a lot more practical. The pyramids were built by paid laborers. Yes, you heard it right, the ancient Egyptians were way ahead of their time when it came to workers' rights. These workers were respected members of society, skilled in their craft, and they even had the right to strike if their beer rations were not delivered on time. Yes, beer. It was a form of currency back then. And how about the construction techniques? Well, that's where the theories get as wild as a camel on a cactus diet. Some suggest they used massive sleds. Others propose a system of pulleys. And then there are those who believe in the power of wet sand. Yes, wet sand. The theory is that the Egyptians dampened the sand in front of the sleds to reduce friction and make the blocks easier to move. Ingenious, isn't it? So, next time someone tells you the pyramids were built by aliens, you can tell them, no, they were built by ancient Bob the Builders. It's a testament to human ingenuity, persistence, and a good beer ration. Now, that's a cornerstone of history worth raising a glass to. Picture this. A fierce war, guns blazing, soldiers charging, against emus. Yes, you heard that right, emus. Now, if you're scratching your head in disbelief, don't worry, you're not alone. This lesser-known historical event from the land down under is as bizarre as it is true. In the year 1932, Australia was going through some tough times. The Great Depression had hit hard, and to add to the woes, a migration of 20,000 emus was causing havoc in the Western Australian farmland. These large, flightless birds were munching away on the crops, leaving the farmers in a state of despair. So what do you do when you're faced with an emu invasion? Well, if you're Australia, you call in the military. That's right, the Australian military was deployed to tackle the emu situation. Armed with machine guns and a determination to protect the farmlands, the soldiers were all set to wage a war on birds. Now, here's where it gets even more absurd. Despite their military might, the Australians found themselves outmatched by the crafty emus. You see, emus are surprisingly fast and agile creatures. They can run up to 30 miles per hour, and their zigzag running pattern made them difficult targets. The soldiers' efforts to curb the emu population were largely unsuccessful, leading to some rather embarrassing headlines. The war lasted around a month, and in the end, the emus emerged victorious. The military withdrew, leaving the farmers to deal with the emu problem themselves. The Great Emu War, as it came to be known, is now remembered more for its comedic value than its military significance. So the next time you think of Australia, remember it's not just kangaroos and koalas, it's also the land where a bunch of flightless birds won a war against humans. And that's how Australia lost a war to a bunch of flightless birds. Talk about ruffling some feathers. Ever danced until your feet hurt? How about dancing until, well, you die? Sounds absurd, right? Buckle up, folks, because we're about to shimmy our way back to the year 1518 in the jolly old city of Strasbourg, where the dance floor got a little too intense. Now imagine this, you're strolling down the streets of Strasbourg, baguette in hand, when suddenly you spot a woman in the town square, boogieing like there's no tomorrow. And well, this isn't your average disco. She's not doing the Macarena or the chicken dance. Oh no, she's in the throes of what historians later called, wait for it, the dancing plague. This wild jig wasn't just a one-off event, it was a fever that spread faster than the latest TikTok dance challenge. People started joining in, not because they were vibing to the rhythm, but because they quite literally couldn't stop themselves. They danced for days on end, with some even collapsing from exhaustion or, in some extreme cases, meeting their maker on the dance floor. Now, if you're thinking, wait, you're pulling my leg, I assure you I'm not. This footloose gone wrong is documented in historical records and is one of the most bizarre occurrences of mass hysteria ever reported. Imagine if this happened today. You're at the club, the DJ drops a sick beat, and suddenly you can't stop doing the floss. You're trapped in a perpetual Fortnite dance-off, the horror. Your friends try to drag you away, but nope. You're stuck in an endless loop of dance moves. And what was the cure for this dancing fever, you ask? More dancing! Yes, the authorities thought the best way to cure the afflicted was to let them dance it out, even going as far as to hire musicians to keep the beat going. So, the next time you're at a party and can't stop dancing, just remember, it could always be worse. You could be caught in the grip of the dancing plague of 1518, forever trapped in a never-ending conga line. Wars are being fought for power, for resources, for honor, and for a bucket. Yes, you didn't mishear that, a bucket. Now I know what you're thinking. A bucket, seriously? But hear me out. This isn't just any old bucket we're talking about. This is the bucket that sparked the War of the Bucket in 1325. Imagine two Italian city-states, Modena and Bologna, already not the best of friends, having a bit of a disagreement. And by bit of a disagreement, I mean a full-blown war. And the cause of this war, a stolen wooden bucket. Yes, one side pilfered a bucket from the other, and the other side was not having it. I mean, you've got to appreciate the audacity. It's like your neighbor taking your lawn gnome and you responding by declaring all-out war. It's a bit extreme, wouldn't you say? But hey, people in the 14th century had their priorities, and apparently buckets were high on the list. And it wasn't a minor skirmish either. We're talking about thousands of soldiers, major battles, heavy casualties, the works, all over a bucket. A bucket that, by the way, wasn't even filled with gold or jewels or anything valuable, just a plain wooden bucket. Now let's fast forward to the present day. Imagine if we started wars over stolen buckets. Picture the headlines. Nation declares war over stolen bucket. Bucket theft triggers international conflict. World leaders meet to discuss bucket crisis. It seems absurd, doesn't it? But let's not be too quick to laugh. After all, these were real people who really fought and died over this bucket. And while it may seem funny to us now, it certainly wasn't a laughing matter at the time. So remember, next time you accuse your sibling of stealing your stuff, just be glad it won't start a war. Or will it?
Well, there you have it, folks. History is not just old people doing boring stuff. It's also old people doing ridiculous stuff. So let's do a quick recap of the madness we have just unraveled. First, we dove into the world of the peculiar pyramids. Who would have thunk it? Those giant, pointy things weren't just for pharaohs to show off. They were also the ancient world's version of a "you are here" sign for extraterrestrials. Then we hopped to Australia for the Great Emu War. Ah yes, a military operation against a flock of flightless birds. It truly showed us that not all wars are fought against two-legged enemies. Some have feathers and an uncanny ability to dodge bullets. Next, we waltzed our way into the dancing plague, the only epidemic where the main symptom was an uncontrollable urge to boogie. Makes you wonder if they tried to cure it with a dance-off. And who can forget the War of the Bucket? A whole war fought over a wooden bucket. And the bucket still resides in Modena, Italy, probably laughing at all of us for making such a fuss over it. These tales remind us that history isn't just a series of stern faces and solemn events. It's also packed with absurdities that could give Monty Python a run for their money. It's a never-ending sitcom where the actors are long gone, but their hilarious antics live on. So the next time you're feeling glum, remember these stories. The world may seem serious, but it's had its fair share of ridiculous moments. And who knows? Maybe you'll be the one to discover the next absurd historical fact that will have us all in stitches. Until then, let's keep our funny bones tickled with the past and look forward to more hilarious history lessons in the future. Because in the end, it's all just one big cosmic joke, isn't it? History. It's weirder than your uncle's dance moves at a family wedding. Until next time, keep laughing at the past, because who knows what's coming in the future.